Sometimes I think that a lot of what I've gone through in my past was because I needed to be an empathetic person. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but the more you go through, the more understanding you are of other people. And I've gone through a lot of things. A lot. A lot that to the point of where when I sit down with someone and I really kind of tell them my story, 9 times out of 10, they ask how I've turned out so normal. And it's funny that normal is even a word that's used because I'm not normal. I don't even know what normal is because normal really doesn't exist. We all have our stuff. And what to one might be like a lot, to another is minor. But it still impacts us. It impacts how we grow and how we flourish and what we feel comfortable with sharing with other people, which is where compassion comes in. The Samaritan woman at the well is hands down my favorite story in the Bible. She is a woman who I feel like I'm looking in a mirror and seeing. I have been divorced. I have had situations of where I felt disregarded, disqualified, like Jesus chose the wrong woman, that he didn't understand how truly damaged I was and why he would ask me to do anything. Who's going to listen to me? I'm nothing and I'm a no one. That's how I felt. And that's how she felt. When he came to her, he chose to speak to a woman that no one would speak to. He went out of his way. He traveled farther to speak to her specifically in the middle of the day to a woman that no one else would be seen with or speak to. But he wanted to talk to her. He wanted to see her. He knew she was disrespected by other people, that she was unwanted and mocked and ashamed. But he loved her. He saw her for what he knew she was, the good things, the whole things, not the broken, shattered pieces that she was still a mess trying to figure out. He came to her because she was strong, because she was real. Let's be honest. A broken woman, you can't get more real than that because they've been there. They've been down in the pit of despair. They have lost everything and they have fought their way to wherever they are. And if they're disregarded and they're disrespected and they feel like they've been disqualified, they have nothing to lose. So here's this woman who has influence with men. I mean, it's documented in history. And while some people will say that she was thirsty and a tramp or loose, I see something totally different with her. I see something different with her because I know how I am. I know what my interactions were. And I think Jesus did too. I know Jesus did too because he loved her. And he trusted her more than anyone else had ever trusted this woman before. He trusted his livelihood, his message, his reveal with her, with this woman that no one else would trust, that no one else would talk to, that no one else would even acknowledge. He set out to see her specifically, to have her be the one that shares his message. He saw worth in a person who felt the most worthless. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, because it goes to show that we are not seen as our mistakes. We are not seen as our failures. We are seen as the person that we were created with, the purpose that we were created for. And no matter what we go through, no matter how broken, no matter how messy, no matter how far off, our purpose and our calling never changes. So something that was so small in the Bible, a couple verses about this lady who was relatively unknown, was unimportant to many, was the most relevant woman in the Bible. Relevant because she was sought out. She was set apart. She had a mission. let's just put this woman into context. 5 divorces. 5, okay? I don't care who you are. 1 divorce breaks a person. 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know that you could find a more broken or stronger person than someone who has been through 5 divorces. That is someone who believed in love 5 times. That is someone who believed maybe this time it'll work 5 times. That is someone who still felt like she deserved a husband or a normalcy 5 times. 1 breakup is enough to ruin someone. 1, just a breakup, just someone that you date and casually see. This woman married 5 people and is currently living with someone else. So that's actually 6. She believed 6 times, maybe this one. She believed 6 times, maybe I'll finally be loved. She believed 6 times that she had a chance at normalcy. She was used to battling. She was used to being a warrior. She was used to being used. And when you've been used, you have nothing to lose. So what's 1 more? At the end of the day, what's 1 more? And I guarantee you, she had no idea that the next time she was going to be chosen to be used was going to be for the most beautiful and impactful moment. I can't even imagine what that had to feel like. Or maybe I can. Maybe that's why I'm emotional. Because it shows that there is light at the end of the tunnel. That it doesn't always go the wrong way. And that there is something more. She had been used and abused and thrown away and discarded. And God picked that up. Jesus made beauty from those ashes. He reminded her that what he sees is worth more than rubies. That there was going to be no more suffering. He wanted her to want him, to follow him, to pick him, and to tell everyone else about him. And she did. He used her one last time in the most beautiful way possible. And maybe that's what I'm being used for. Maybe that's what you're being used for. All these things that you've gone through, these trials, these painful experiences, if you don't speak them out, if you don't share them, if you do not heal from them, then you're not carrying on that message. You're not sharing God's purpose, God's promises, God's love for you. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anyone else disregards or what anyone else disqualifies, because God's qualified you. Jesus has called you. And that's all that matters, because you are the most worthy to them. But what he didn't say was that was too many. Yeah, I could have used you at 4 marriages, but when you went and used that 5th one, yeah, I just kind of had to toss your calling aside and disregard it just like everybody else has. No, that's not what he said. He said, I take you exactly as you are. I'm going to take you right out of this mess and right out of this storm. And I'm going to use you exactly as you sit right now, broken and all. Because that's where my message is going to come. That's what makes it all the sweeter and all the more valuable. I see you, I honor you, and I love you just as you are. That's what he said. Well, that's what I assume he said.